Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kyra and I'm here today to talk to you about how you can use tarot and astrology together. Thank you so much for joining us here today. On my channel, we talk about personal and witchy development using tarot, journaling, and astrology. And if that sounds like it's your kind of thing, then I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that bell notification, liking, and all of that stuff so you can stay tuned. I'm really excited about today's video, and I'm just so thrilled. So I wanted to talk to you about how you can use how tarot and astrology work together, because they can work together in a few different ways. So without further ado, let's just hop right into that. One of the biggest things about using tarot and astrology together is you can use them to learn about each other, and it can go from either direction. If you are already well versed in astrology, for example, and you're trying to learn tarot, all the tarot cards have an association. Now, a lot of us might know, and you can see here, I grabbed the Lillifer Tarot because it shows the glyphs. So this one's got a glyph of the water signs. This is the Ace of Cups, so it has the 3 water sign glyphs on it because the Ace of Cups is water, so that's all the water signs. So there's lots of decks out there that show and display the references for astrology. Here's the sign for Leo for the Strength card. Here's Venus and Taurus for this. I'm not sure what this card is. Maybe the 3 of Swords? No. Anyways, the point is not the fact that I'm having a bit of trouble with this deck, unfortunately. The point is that I wanted to show that there are lots of decks out there that refer and have the astrology demonstrated directly on it. So if you're very familiar with astrology and you're like, ooh, I want to learn tarot, then you can find yourself a tarot deck that has glyphs on it or words on it. Another one is the 8th House Tarot. I don't have that deck, so I'll insert a couple of pictures. There's also the Alchemical Tarot. Those are 2 I know off the top of my head that have a very strong visual reference of what the astrology is for each card. And there is another thing we can look at to help us determine this, which we'll talk about a bit later in the video. And so if you're watching this and you know of a deck that is clear, that you find works well, that references the astrology, please leave a comment and let us know what deck that is down below so we can all check in on that. So that's a way, like here, this is the 8 of Wands, there's Sagittarius, there's Mercury. So this is Mercury in Sagittarius. So if you're an astrologer and you know, okay, Mercury in Sagittarius means this, then that gives you some context for what the tarot card means, what the 8 of Wands means. And on the opposite end, we can, of course, use tarot to learn astrology. Now, both of them are hard in their own unique ways. Using tarot to learn astrology, I haven't personally experienced that. I started learning them both in tandem. But there are several things you can do to explore it to give you an idea. I wouldn't, as a professional astrologer, which is what I am, and a tarot reader, you can check out my services in my website, link down below. I wouldn't recommend using just tarot to learn astrology. I would recommend using it to broaden your understanding, to bring your understanding of astrology more home. And I will tell you some different ways that we can do that. One of the things that you can do to work with tarot and astrology together, to use tarot to help you start to gain some deeper understanding of astrology, is you can use a deck and the corresponding tarot to pull out your birth chart. So for an example, everyone has Aries in their chart, so you can look at one section at a time. So you can go pull out Aries. Okay, I'll use myself as an example. So let's get past those. I'm going to need this card. In Aries, I have the sun sign. And my sun is dignified in Aries. I also have Mercury in Aries. And I have, where are you? And I have my midheaven in Aries. And all of these things in Aries in my chart, this is using whole sign house system, by the way, is my 10th house. So this is all my 10th house. So I have my midheaven in Aries. I have my pinnacle in action, using the keywords at the bottom. The source of myself is also in act, in Aries. The keyword of Mercury is messages. The way I communicate is in Aries. And of course, supportive guidebooks. This is the Star Codes Astro Oracle. If you are interested in my very in-depth look at what I think of this as an astrologer, and just as a person who uses cards like this a lot, because this is a big part of my work. I use astrology and tarot combined to work. But if you're interested in that video, you can check it out, linked up above in the cards. So you can pull out all of these cards. And you can say, all right, cool. I've got an understanding of these cards. I've got to look at what things go together. And then what you can do with it is, now this is not a short, simple little thing. This is a process that can get very involved. And you could take away the dignified and still do this. So I've got my Revelations Tarot. So then you want to see, okay, to learn more about these things, you can pull out the tarot that corresponds. So the Emperor is the Aries card. So that goes there. For Mercury, we are looking for sorry, my brain stopped while I was looking, so I found this first. The Sun card corresponds to the sun. That one's a nice, easy one to remember. Not all of them are that easy. But with a quick Google search, you can pull up information to tell you about which planet, the planetary correspondences of the tarot. And the Magician is Mercury. There is no... I'm just going to take these two away here for a moment, because other astrological things, there aren't correspondences for. You have correspondences for the planets and for the signs and for signs in the planets because of the Decan Wheel, which we're going to get to next. So taking those aside, I know I have the Emperor part of my chart, Aries. I have the Sun card, my authenticity, and the Magician, my manifestation. And I can look at and read those cards together and see how I feel about it. I would still recommend using these other cards, especially the house cards, because even though I can't pull a tarot correspondence for this, it still gives me some context for the rest of this. Same with this Pinnacle card. It gives me context to be like, okay, I know that this is the pinnacle of my chart, that this is the top, this is important, this is what I'm building towards, and I can work off that word pinnacle. And the 10th house is the house of authority. It's also the house of career and stuff, and I can build off of the keyword here. So those are just the very, very, very basic ways you can start to use them to learn about each other, through using their correspondences and through looking at the correspondences and how it lines up. Right? And there's lots of things. So if you know you have, like in my example I just gave, if I know I have Aries, I have multiple Emperor points, right? I can look at that and be like, well, in the Emperor part of my chart, I have multiple things. So I can see, okay, the Emperor card has strong significance for me. And you can lay this out with your whole chart, which I have done. I'll see if I can find the picture and insert it. And you can do it with just Oracle, or you can do it with Tarot as well. But you can go to the planets in your chart and you can see, okay, what major cards do I have? Hold on, let me get it set up and I'll show you that. Okay, so I'm going with just the basic stuff here. I'm not going super in depth, or at least I'm trying not to. So in astrology, this is what this could look like. My sun sign and my Mercury sign are in Aries, which is the Emperor. So that's that one. In the sign of Cancer is my rising sign, which is the Chariot. In Taurus, I have my Venus, which is an inner planet. So I'm sticking to here Sun, Moon, Rising, and the inner planets, which is Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Taurus has my Venus, which is the Hierophant. Taurus corresponds to the Hierophant. Gemini corresponds to the Lovers, which is where my Mars is. Let me shift these. Boop. There we go. Oh, sorry. Put that one aside. That's not an inner planet. And then my moon sign is in Libra, which corresponds to justice. So I've got Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars. So there we go. Now I can see with tarot the energy of, or at least the initial starting energy. It gets more deep than this with astrology, but that's okay. This is a really good starting point. It's a good thing you can build off of. But I know these are energies that are intricate in my chart. And I wouldn't necessarily have these, right? If someone's sun is in Aquarius, they would have the Star card instead of the Emperor. So this is a really great way to get an idea of looking at your chart and seeing what's there. And then you can find funny things. So like, for example, I have the Emperor is my 10th house of career, reputation, authority, yada, yada. I am my own boss. It is essential for me to be my own boss. It's very Emperor energy. So this is one of the things that you can do for kind of starting to feel out your astrology using tarot. You can pull them out. You can pull them out in multiple different ways. And in fact, you can even find the placement cards using this thing called the Decan Wheel. The Decan Wheel has been around a long time, and to be fair, I'm really not sure of its exact origins. What I do know is that the Decan Wheel takes the entire wheel of astrology, all 12 signs in a circle, all 12 houses, and it breaks them up. It divides each 30-degree sign. So this is based on whole sign. That's important. In whole sign house system, your houses line up and you get 30 degrees in perfect little pie slices, right? So Aries is 30 degrees, Taurus is 30 degrees, and round it goes. I'll show my chart as an example right here for you. So what they do in the Decan Wheel is they take the 30 degrees of each sign and they split it into 10-degree sections. And by looking at the overlap of things, it ends up showing a way that astrology corresponds to the rest of the tarot system, including the minors and the court cards. The court cards, I'm still learning to wrap my head around. I believe it is Thoth-based instead of RWS-based. But it still gives that idea. And so you can learn about a specific card for each placement in your chart. And this is based on looking at a planet in your chart and where it is. Okay, so here's our Decan Wheel. And I know it looks overwhelming. Just take a deep breath. It's okay. We got this. We shall figure it out together, I promise. The only thing that really is required for this is you do need your whole sign birth chart. I did do a video of how to generate your birth chart and whole sign. It is linked up above in the cards. You can go and check that out. So what you do is you look at your chart and you find a point. So we can start with my sun sign. My sun sign in my chart is at 9 degrees in Aries. Here is Aries. Here's Aries, and it also says Mars because it's ruled by Mars, and it says the sun exalted because the sun really likes being in Aries. And my Aries is in the first 10 degrees. Each sign is split up by 10 degrees. So this is 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and round and round and round the whole thing goes. That means in the first 10 degrees is where my sun sign is. That puts me here. And the way you read this one is to me it seems quite easy. It's okay though if it's confusing for you. This inner line here tells you what sign it is, or what, not sign. This inner circle here tells you what suit you're in. You can also go by color. On this wheel, the wands are always red. The swords are like this white beigey color. Cups are this dark purpley color, and the lighter grayish purpley color is pentacles. So Aries here, the first 10 degrees is the 2 of wands. Here's wands, here's the 2. So I know from that my the energy of my sun sign is the 2 of wands. The really great thing about this is that the knowledge goes both ways. You can use this to expand on your tarot knowledge or to expand on your astrology knowledge. So the 2 of wands has the energy of Mars in Aries, which is why on some 2 of wands cards, I'll try and get an example picture and put it up here on the screen. You will see the glyphs of Mars and Aries because that is the energy of it. So for me, my sun sign has the energy of the 2 of wands. It has the energy of Mars in Aries. So if I understand what Mars in Aries is like, that tells me a bit about the 2 of wands. If I understand what the 2 of wands is like, that tells me a bit about Mars in Aries. And this is how you can really start to gain more understanding. And there's lots of different ways in which it all lines up. There's lots of different patterns you can see with this chart. I use this chart all the time. I am constantly opening it and just looking at it and seeing how do things line up together. This is how I figured out that my Mars sign, my Mars is at 28 degrees of Gemini. So I find Gemini, here it is. It's in the last 10 degrees. And sorry, just an important thing to know, astrology, it goes counterclockwise. So 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. My Mars is in the Decan of the Sun in Gemini, which is the energy of the 10 of Swords. When you're looking at this at first, I recommend, I don't know if it'll do this properly, but I recommend that maybe you stick to these inner layers. The dates are like when the Sun is in each Decan, right? So here, the Sun is in this first Decan from March 21st to March 30th. I was literally born on March 30th. So that's a separate issue. And I know some folks, Garden Goddess Tarot has talked about doing the Decan walks in her videos. I will try and find one of those and link it up above in the cards. But I recommend staying focused on these inner rings. You can, if you feel comfortable, look at the outer rings as well. And I'd like to also point out that, so you have, in each sign, you have the glyph, the element. Oh, sorry. There's the little pluses or minuses. So the pluses for active signs, the minuses are for supportive signs. So you have you have the glyph, you have the element, you have the modality, you have the suit, you have the number, you have planets to get the full picture of it. And then you go into the signs, the rulers of the signs, and they have both traditional and modern rulers listed. See here, traditional, modern, which I love that. Then you have indications of the exaltation, so that tells us what planet works really well in this sign. And then you go into the quartz. So you can look at the quartz if you want. You just have to recall and remember that it's based on Thoth, I believe. So I know, for example, the Queen of Cups, because queens are always queens in Thoth and in RWS. The Queen of Cups goes from the last 10 degrees of Gemini and the first 20 degrees of Cancer. I have my Mars and my moon sign in the Queen of Cups area here. The Queen of Wands area starts in the last 10 degrees of Pisces and goes into the first 20 degrees of Aries. And that's where I have my sun sign and my midheaven. So you can look at it, you just have to note it's prince and princesses. So it goes princess, knight, queen, prince, I believe. It might go princess, prince, but the princes are, I believe the princes are in place of the kings. I could be totally wrong. If I am, please correct me down in the comments. I would like to know. But there's other really cool things you can learn. This is a great learning tool. For example, when I was researching for this video, it talked about how all the cardinal signs are the 2, 3s, and 4s. And I hadn't noticed that. And it's true. So if you are understanding what the 2s, 3s, and 4s are like in astrology and also in numerology, then you can then you can apply that knowledge to learn more about what exactly the cardinal means. So here, cardinal fire is 2, 3, and 4 wands. Cardinal water is 2, 3, and 4 of the cups. Cardinal air is 2, 3, and 4 swords. Cardinal earth is 2, 3, and 4 discs. And then the mutable ones, the fixed ones are 5, 6, and 7, and the mutable ones are 8, 9, and 10. So I am very excited that I can use my understanding of cardinal, fixed, and mutable to start maybe dipping into some of the more numerological things here in the Decan Wheel. The benefits of using the Decan Wheel are really quite endless. It is complicated, and to me it's like a gift that keeps on giving. So I use this Decan Wheel a ton. I use it with clients. I use it for myself. So let me go ahead and gather my cards and show you what it looks like on the other end of things when I'm not staring at this weird chart. Okay, so I took a minute and I calculated using that chart. So Mars in my chart is in the last 10 degrees of Gemini, which is the 10 of Swords. Then my sun sign in the first 10 degrees of Aries is the 2 of Wands. My Mercury sign in the last 10 degrees of Aries is the 4 of Wands. My moon sign in the middle 10 degrees of Libra is the 3 of Swords. My rising sign, because you can do this with your rising sign too, you just need to know what degree your rising sign is. My rising sign is in the last 10 degrees of Cancer, which is the 4 of Cups. And my Venus sign in the middle 10 degrees of Taurus is the 6 of Pentacles. So again, now I have a different spread of looking at my chart. And I have a different way I can look at these things. And what's really cool about this occurred to me while I was filming and I got very excited, was if you have a shadowy card that you understand the shadow of, if you understand both sides of each card, both the difficult side and the less difficult side, that's information you can use to help learn how to balance the energy. Because each placement in astrology, it's not necessarily balanced. That all depends on the person, the moment, the situation, lots of factors. So for example, I have two cards that actually I have a few cards that looking at them kind of suck, right? The 10 of Swords, that's a shitty fucking card. But I get a lot of information out of this. This is where my Mars is. And because I understand astrology, so in this case, I'm using tarot to help me learn about my astrology. Because I understand that Mars, for everyone, Mars rules our motivation, our will, our drive. Because I understand that, I know, okay, my motivation, my drive is in this difficult 10 of Swords position. So from that, because I also know that the 10 of Swords, this is kind of me using tarot to learn more about my astrology. Because I understand that the 10 of Swords is often a thing that it looks worse than it is. And because an antidote to the 10 of Swords energy, some advice we often get from the 10 of Swords is about reframing and about looking at the situation from a different angle. I know, and this is in the realm of mental, like it's swords, it's a mental thing. I know that a huge thing I can do to take care of and work with my Mars energy is to work on my mental health, work on the reframing, work on that. So, and same with, so the 4 of Cups, these are all about perspective shifts in a way. But the 4 of Cups is emotional because it's cups. And it's often like focusing on the emotions we're missing. The 3 of Swords can tell me something about how to work on my emotional health, right? And same with the more positive cards, or the cards that you just enjoy more, can tell you, can give you a hint of like, this is how amazing this can feel for you. So it can give you something, it can give you like a goalpost to understand when I'm flowing well in this energy, I could feel like this, right? So there's lots of really cool applications now that I think about it, that you can take this information and apply it to start looking at your astrology in deeper ways, in ways you can work with it. And related to this, there is another technique you could do just to go even deeper with it. So for that, I used these two. I used these two, I believe. Yes. So if I wanted to just understand more about my moon sign, a singular point in my chart, I know my moon sign is in my 4th house. That's the house of roots and home and ancestry. Okay? If you know the topics of the houses, those are really good to just have in your mind. So if I want to learn more about my moon sign and I want to use tarot to explore it, I could say, okay, so I want to learn about my moon. Well, the moon is represented by the high priestess. That's the correspondence. So that's what I want to learn more about. I want to learn more about my high priestess energy. Okay, my moon sign, my high priestess is in Libra. Well, Libra is the Justice card. So I can put that card out. And then I can pull out the Deccan card, the 3 of Swords. And then I have created this really unique picture that I can look at and interpret and think about and apply it to my moon sign. To go deeper, to learn, to understand. And you can do it the other way. I have the feeling that more people are wanting to know how to use tarot to understand astrology, partly because I've been asked that by several clients. And I haven't been asked by clients how to use astrology to understand tarot, but it's just the opposite, right? If you understand astrology, if you know the moon sign is about your emotions and your intuition, that tells you something about the high priestess. If you know Libra is about diplomacy, that tells you something about justice. Like, and that kind of thing is how it goes. And plus, astrology is older than tarot, I think. Again, I could be wrong. I think astrology is older than tarot. And I have a feeling that astrology was used to help build tarot archetypes. Again, I could be totally wrong. This is just a theory. But so there. I've looked at my moon sign in Libra, and the place it lands specifically in Libra gives me this 3 of Swords. So I can interpret those 3 things together and learn more. And then just another example of that, if I'm looking at my Venus. Okay, well, Venus is represented by the Empress card. So, there we go. And my Venus is in Taurus, and Taurus corresponds to the Hierophant. And then my Venus in Taurus is in the middle Decan, which is that 6 of Pentacles. So again, you can build the picture this way. The last thing I just want to talk about is using astrology as a container and then exploring within the container using tarot. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So the idea of living in a container, well, that's kind of what humans naturally do. We try and contain everything. We try and categorize everything. The container, in my mind, is like the perspective. It's like the lens through which we view the world. And if you think about that, humans are watery beings, which we are, at least I believe so, and it's okay if you disagree. If you talk about humans as watery beings, ta-da, then there has to be a container to hold that water so that water can move and flow and explore. And humans are constantly building containers for things. We use science to understand elements. Containers are basically just a way to hold the space so we can explore. This is the main way I use astrology. Astrology is the container in which I explore my life. I like how I decided to do astrology-based goal setting. That's very using astrology as the container, and then goal setting, building my life in that container I've built for myself, that I've chosen to be in. I found the astrology container and I just hopped right the hell in. And there's lots you can do for this with building spreads. And this is something that I specialize in my work. It is something that I started to do. I don't know anyone, I haven't heard of anyone who does it quite like I do. That's not to say there aren't any. I'm just saying, like, this is a me thing. To the best of my knowledge, it's a me thing. I use astrology, the container, to build spreads. But I don't do it in a way of like, I want to talk about Aries, so I'm going to ask a question about action. I do that sometimes. What I'm talking about is a specific thing I do, which is much more fluid. So let me show you an example. And I use this for my year ahead spreads. I use this for a lot of things. And this is basically where I want to look at something going on in the world. Because the premise of astrology is that its energy is affecting us now. The premise of your birth chart is that's your chart. That is the map of your energy. The planets are the energy. The signs are the way the energy is manifesting. And the houses are where the energy is manifesting. And the aspects are how the energies are interacting together. So if I want to explore, I like to, using an astrological oracle deck, build a spread. Basically, I'm just building the number and then pulling within that. And I do this in my year ahead spread. I've done this in Mercury return readings, Saturn return readings. I do this for my solar return readings that I offer for clients, that I do for myself. This is my specialty. Okay, so you're getting a little behind the scenes here. And what you can do is you can use astrology to build yourself a reading. So let's go with a nice generic example, because I don't want to give away all of my goods. Right now, Mercury is in retrograde. Here's Mercury. So say I want to learn about this Mercury retrograde. I might pull a Mercury card. Great. By the way, I have considered making Mercury retrograde readings a thing on my a service available. So if that's something you might be interested in, that you think that's a cool idea, I'd love to hear feedback. So I want to look at Mercury retrograde. So there's Mercury. And I know this is about retrograding. So let's find that card. So you could pull, in this deck it would be the transit card, in another deck it might be a retrograde card. So we're looking at a Mercury transit. Well, Mercury is in Libra right now, and it's also going to be transiting and retrograding back into Virgo. So there's those cards, Libra, Virgo. This is the basis that I would do for anyone in this kind of a reading, because everyone has this part going on. Everyone has Mercury transiting through Libra and then eventually Virgo. Not everyone's Libra and Virgo will be in the same place. So this is something that you could expand on. And you could expand on it by looking at the houses. So if Libra is in your first house, if you're a Libra rising sign, you would put a first house here. You could also put any planets. So I'll just show you an example very quickly. Libra for me is where my moon is. So I could pull out the moon card. And it's also where, and it's in my fourth house. And you could do that with both sides. I don't happen to have anything in Virgo, but it is my third house. So I could do that. And this is how you can build a spread. And then with that spread, what I do is I don't look too specifically. I build it, and I just do this to hold the energy, to represent the energy going on, to build a frame in my mind of here's what's going on, here's the sky weather, and then I pull cards for it. And then apparently my deck is upside down. I pull cards for it, and then I interpret it. So that is one of my favorite things, and this is something that I do. I do this with all of my most specialty services and my year ahead spreads. It's an extremely cool thing. It's really powerful. And so what ends up happening, what ends up being created, is you have a map of the sky weather, and then you use tarot to explore the themes, the energy, the lessons, the however you look at it, how that sky weather is affecting you. And the way to really do that is to bring it into that personal realm like we did with these three cards, because this, everyone's got this going on. So at anyone, even if you don't know your chart, you could work with just this. And you could do this with full moons, new moons. So let me show you a full moon. But I'll show you a full moon. But so anyone can work with this. Anyone. And then if you really want to dig into it, you can find those areas of your charts and expand on this like I've showed you. But let me show you an example, because I just said anyone can do a full moon. And that's true. So there's the moon, there's the sun. We're going to need those. I'm going to leave the Libra card out, and I'm going to take out the Aries because they're right there. So that's nice and easy. We don't need the Mercury card. We don't need the transits. We need the opposition. And then I'm just going to tuck away. So the full moon. The full moon is an astrological event, as is the new moon. The full moon is when the sun in the sky is opposite the moon. So this is a basic full moon. We have a full moon coming up. The full moon, because the sun is in Libra, or is about to be in Libra, when our next full moon happens, the moon will be in Aries because it's opposite. So you, right here, you've got this beautiful little cross full moon spread that anyone can do. And then again, you can personalize it by looking at the Libra part of your chart and pulling out more cards. So the fourth house, if you're like me, if you're a Cancer rising, or you can, and then you can look at the Aries part of your chart and build a, and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting tongue-tied. Or you can look at the Aries part of your chart and pull out the 10th house. And then you have a nice view. Now, if you do know astrology, this gives you more information and can give you a really, really, really great way to look at and learn about these things. But you can do this just with the basic, I have my chart and I understand tarot, so I want to do this. But as I said, this is something I specialize in. So if you're interested, do let me know, because I have lots of things about this, and I could add a ton of services about it, like a ton. So, but that's it. That's a really great starting point, I think, for looking at how you can work with tarot and astrology together, how you can bring them together to learn more about each other and just to go really deep with it. It is an incredibly rich practice. There's lots of possibilities. And if you found this interesting, let me know in the comments down below, because this is a topic that I could revisit in greater detail with more ideas as time progresses, looking at more specific things. There's lots that can be done talking about in this area. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in. And this is where I'm going to leave you today. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification so you can come on back nice and easily. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, you can find my email where you can reach me in the description. You'll also there find my website where you can check out my services, and a link to join my channel membership. There is a join button beside the subscribe button, at least there is supposed to be, and you can join my channel membership there. Check it out, and let me know in the comments down below, how did you like this video? I hope I did a good job explaining things. Please do let me know if you have any clarifying questions. And other than that, I'm going to let you go here, and I will see you again very soon. Lots of love. Bye.